Weeks. Moving on to the oil spill disaster in the Gulf, BP engineers are in a bit of a holding pattern tonight.
They are waiting for cement inside its blown out well to dry. They finished plugging the well today and they expect it'll take about a day for the cement to dry. Even though this could permanently plug the well, engineers still plan to move forward with the relief well plan. They expect it will take another 5 to 7 days for crews to finish that drilling. This progress is being made as new evidence surfaces showing how the spill is impacting oysters near Grand Isle. Natasha Robin joins us now with the story.
Kim, an oyster biologist who works as a consultant for the state's Department of Natural Resources, has been studying oyster grounds since 1987. He brought Fox 8 along today as he examined oysters, and what he found wasn't pretty.
That's about all the water level we got.
In the shallow water about 8 miles from the eastern tip of Grand Isle, biologist Scott Porter reaches in and pulls up an oyster.
We've definitely got a growing reef because they've got spat. As you see these little little circled quarter-sized things, that's all oyster spat or oyster seeds.
The area is showing signs of oil and heavy sheen. But on the oyster, there are signs of reproduction. As Porter takes a closer look, he discovers, though, that there are no adult oysters on the water bottom.
If you get a large amount of oil that sits on top of an oyster reef and submerges it for more than 2 weeks, then you will suffocate that oyster because he won't open up and suck in the water. He'll stay closed as long as that oil is sitting around him. And that may be what has happened here.
He points out that on most Louisiana oysters, there are small mud crabs that will attach themselves to the oyster shell, but there is very little evidence of that here.
I've got a hermit crab here. Maybe he's alive.
He begins to find what he says is dead oysters all over the reef.
And then for all of this oil sheen to be around here, it really makes me, worry about the health of these of the oyster reefs in this area.
For an even closer look, the oyster biologist decides to open one of them.
What we'll do is we're going to take this stomach of the oyster right here, and let's look inside. What color is it? Oh, it's brown and green. Oh, yuck. I'm not sure what it's been eating. I guess it's pulling algae and oil out of the water.
Porter will take the oyster to his lab for testing. He shows how the shell is stained.
I believe that this is an oil stain on the inside of the shell. You can see it there on the top piece. It remains to be seen what ends up, they find in the oyster tissue itself. So that's why we have the guys come out and they'll independently analyze it and tell us what it is.
Now, Porter says the oyster he opened was only about 9 months old, and it appeared that none of the oysters on the reef were above a year old or 3 inches wide.
Anything else that could have killed the oysters?
Well, fresh water does kill the oysters, and the state opened up the freshwater diversion project, but Porter pointed out that this reef was very close to the Gulf, so he doesn't think that the freshwater diversion projects had anything to do with this, so I guess we have to wait for the test to come back.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Natasha.
The cap that stopped a leak from a broken oil wellhead in Jefferson Parish is holding without a problem. This afternoon, a Fox 8 camera got a good look at the contained wellhead in Bayou St. Denis. A barge ran into it last month, prompting a leak that lasted 4 days. Saints icon Ricky Jackson will become a Pro Football Hall of Famer in just a matter of days.
That's right, John Henry.